So the plan tonight was really to talk first about the packing list, which is really not that hard because the climate is just so darn easy here.
Kind of looks like that every day.
Yeah. and so the packing list won't be a difficult thing. Really, you don't need to buy anything special for this trip. You know, if you've got good shoes, then everything that you own will work. But there are a few suggestions you want to.
Yeah. So looking at clothing, really, you can sort of do the whole traveling thing with, Rick really likes to wear those lightweight pants with, a lightweight shirt. But and it's a great thing to have for sure. But you can also be pretty comfortable in the clothing that you have here for summer in Utah. We do tend to dress fairly nicely, just as a respectful thing. So, not short shorts, which I'm sure we all love to wear, and not sort of ripped up jeans, and maybe you're not all wearing those either. But
this stuff was all left over because I used to do study abroad things with undergrads.
With undergrads, right? But I don't think that's where you're going. I tend to wear, skirts, not not short, of course, but I just find it really, really comfortable to travel that way. But anything you want to wear that way, pants, skirts, whatever you'd like is just fine. It's really, really important to bring something warm, though. Some of our evenings are pretty cool. We do a couple of nights we eat outside up on the roof or in a lovely courtyard, and it gets really cool at night. It's down in the 50s, and so if you want to be comfortable, you definitely want to have something nice and cozy to wear. Either some kind of fleece to wear on top, or a nice thing to wrap around you. Like I was looking at yours, Mary. That nice cozy thing is a good thing to have, just to have with you. For sure, as Rick was saying. Oh, did you want to mention something?
No.
Oh, the good shoes. You don't really need to have hiking shoes or anything like that, but just some good sturdy shoes. Even if you've got good sandals, we're not going anywhere where there's snakes or scorpions or anything. Well, not really anyway.
There could be scorpions.
There could be scorpions. But, we're not doing major hiking at all on this trip. So wear what's comfortable. There are a lot of cobblestones in the town. So any kind of heel, you will be really sad. So don't wear them. It's really easy to slip over and hurt your ankle that way. We've got a little note here about socks and underwear, just, if you want to bring things that are easily rinsed out if you want to, or just bring your 7 pair, whatever you need to have there. Let's see. A good hat. Rick is always concerned about that because he has no hair on top. But it is pretty sunny, so if you're worried about that, for sure bring a hat. Everybody seems to enjoy that. Very likely that it'll rain, but it's always nice to have a little.
Very unlikely that it'll.
Did I say? Excuse me. Very unlikely that it's going to rain. Really, it's like that most days. But it's nice to have a rain. If everybody brings in a small umbrella, then we won't have any rain. So if you could bring it for insurance, that would be great. A little day pack is good to bring around, so you've got your, sunscreen, any kind of medication that you might need, and of course water bottles, that kind of thing. Nice to have a day pack with you. Put a little jacket in case.
And personally, I like to have essentials. I mean, you don't need to worry about this, but I like to have essentials with me on the plane. I don't like to check everything, so I like to have, if all I have is a check on, then I bring the things that I really would be sad without. I bring them with me on a carry-on.
Just in case.
Just because.
Yeah, we haven't had any trouble with people not getting their bags, but I'm sure if you've all traveled, you do the same thing. If you could bring a headlamp or a flashlight, in that night on January 1st that we go sort of out up onto the hills, we stay there till just after dark, and it's a little rocky, little uneven.
And pretty dark.
And pretty darn dark, right. So that's nice to have a flashlight. Of course, you can use the one on your phone as well, just as you like. Sunscreen for sure, because we are up high, and we want to watch out for that tropical sun. Anti-diarrheal medicine, how many of you have been traveled to Central America or Mexico? Have you? None? I mean, everybody gets, sometimes, there's always some little stomach distress. It doesn't mean you've got dysentery, but it's nice to, if you're concerned, that things seem a little loosey-goosey in the morning and you want to really come on the day, it's nice to have that anti-diarrheal. I have a backpack that has everything in it, so if you happen to forget, I've got everything you'll ever need in my backpack, and it comes with me all during the day. So if something strikes in the day, just come find me and I've got it in my pack for you. Don't ever hesitate to ask, as embarrassing as it might be. I've heard everything and every request, so, and then I teach high school, I'm super comfortable with that, so. Of course, any other over-the-counter medicines you might like to have, all the Tums and all ibuprofen, Pepto-Bismol, anti-itch cream, those little wipes, though, we didn't really have too many bugs, but those off wipes are just the best thing to travel with because they don't leak and they're not especially goopy. So if you, I always bring tons of them, but it's just nice to just sort of just rub it on your ankles and your arms, and then you're really comfortable with the bugs there. Those are really handy things to have. They
But
come
we
in
probably won't see a mosquito.
We probably won't, but yeah, if you like to bring them, that would be great. Otherwise, I'll have them. Taking a photocopy, making a copy of or a couple of them of your passport. That's a nice thing to have for safety, keeping a couple of them in different places. I also suggest taking a picture of your passport, the inside of it, of course, not the outside, and keeping it in your phone so that if something ever goes wrong, you've got it right there. Really, that's pretty essential to have that, just to be sure. Some people like to bring their hidden, little money pocket, if you'd like to do that. Nice to have to keep things safe and sound, especially your passport and any other little things you might need. Electricity. We're on the same in Mexico, 120 volts. But the trouble is we won't but we don't find any three-prong outlets in did we have them in the hotel?
I can't remember if the hotel had them. The hotel has all new wiring and things, so I suspect there's no issue there at all. I certainly don't remember one.
Hi.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi.
Sorry. Hello.
Come on
Sorry
in.
I'm late,
Oh,
everybody.
glad to have you. We were just looking at the packing list. Maybe, do you need one?
Probably.
Oh, she has one in her packet.
Does the hotel have a hairdryer in the room? Carol, she wants
I can't remember. You know what? I'll find out for you and I'll let you know. I honestly can't remember that. I think it might.
You're looking at me?
Yeah. I don't know why I'm looking at thing right now. I don't use one either, but I will find out and get that out to everybody if everybody's wondering. 'Cause it is nice to not to have to bring one, isn't it? Yeah. I know they didn't have any iron in the room, but I think they can lend you an iron. Okay. Where are we here? Electricity, right. So we don't want to bring an adapter that goes from 2 to 3 or 3 to 2, so that you can plug everything into charge.
And in some places, if your appliance is something new and it has the two-way plug except the one is wider than the other, some places that will be a problem. I don't think so in our hotel. I really don't, but I think it's something to just be aware of.
Just to pack one, just in case, an adapter that way. You'll need everything, as Rick says, to keep your camera or phone happy and functioning. You'll want to take a lot of pictures. It is very nice to ask if you can take pictures. I don't know how many Spanish speakers we have here. Does anybody speak Spanish? A bit of it, or?
You probably do, yeah.
Yeah, good. Oh, good. Yeah, great. And then we have just un poquito. There's a little, there's a phrase here we have here, which is podría tomar un foto, por favor. And most people will say yes, but if they do say no, of course, just step away as you normally would. Some people, I didn't have this happen, but asked for a little money. I haven't had that happen.
Yeah, it's very rare,
Right.
and it
Yeah.
won't be very much.
So one thing that we did discover last time is that we, people ended up buying quite a few lovely rugs and weavings at the place we stopped for weaving, and then it was really hard to find little suitcases in Oaxaca. It was really difficult. So if you think you might want to be buying a few things, little alebrijes, which are the little wood sort of magical animals that they make there, or the carpets, or there's lovely bags and things like that. They are really hard to resist. And they come in all sizes, very small to very large. I would just suggest going to Walmart or Target and getting one of those just fold-upable, really just a squishable extra bag that you can just pack in and then produce to put things into later, little duffel or something like that.
People really wind up needing it.
They
People
really
just
do. They buy little bits
surprise
of pottery,
themselves.
and so when they end up carrying that on, and then checking their others, because there's always so many fragile things that people have purchased.
Do they ship any weavings or pottery?
I'm sure they will.
I
I've
don't know
never
about
tried.
the pottery, but the weaving, I think they will.
Yeah, the pottery, the people are pretty casual.
It's a pretty, but the weaving is a more of a legit place. I think the alebrijes, the little wooden things, they probably ship as well.
I'm sure they should.
Yeah, and those come also, this big to this big. So, I know that we had a bit of a frantic moment at the end last year when people were really trying to find places to pack things, and, some people bought big pots in the marketplace because they're just next to nothing and really nice.
And they were carrying them on?
They were wrapping them in their carpets and stuffing them in there, and yeah. But, so
And we were running all over town looking for extra suitcases.
Right, right, so, and they really are hard to find. So, please remember to bring that if you'd like to, if you think you might be tempted to buy something. Of course, I'm sure you've all traveled, so call your bank for sure and make sure they've got it in the file that you are going to be in Oaxaca, because they will immediately cancel your credit card because of fraud, or your debit card. It happens to everybody who doesn't call first. So call, send an email, and then call again before you go to say, is it there in my file? We've had some sad travelers who weren't able to access their funds, which has made it really hard for them. Check in with your mobile carrier again. T-Mobile does work Canada and Mexico, and the texting is free, so see what yours does so that you don't have to worry about that. And then, of course, talk to your doctor about any medications. I thought I wrote here somewhere about, maybe I could, I did put up at the top where it says other basics. Some people did talk to their doctor about getting a very sort of broad, general antibiotic that they could take in case they feel like they were getting some little stomach thing that wasn't going away. Feel free to talk to your doctor about that. It's not in the least required, but it might be something that gives you some peace of mind if you feel you'd like to do that. We've never, had the problem, but you never know, right? You never know. So when you are, of course, you'll be drinking bottled water all the time there. I think even the hotel, I would really recommend it, and I would recommend brushing teeth with the bottled water. That's, but otherwise, you can. I get in the hotel. I think it's fine to have ice with your drink.
The restaurants, at the very least, the restaurants that we've set up for you, you can eat anything in.
Right.
Other places, I still am careful of a salad. I am careful of ice, but generally speaking, Oaxaca is very well set up. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, for sure, especially in those places that we're going all together, most definitely.
Oh yeah, those
you
are.
can just have anything you want there. Yeah.
I was going to ask, another place I've been in Mexico, and some in Latin America, there's a special faucet for brushing your teeth. So, that is the water for brushing your teeth.
They didn't have that in this hotel.
There isn't in this.
And I have a feeling the water in the hotel is perfectly fine. I just don't think it's worth the risk.
No, I mean,
Yeah, it's just not worth the risk.
they'll give you bottled water, and there's.
Use that to brush your teeth.
Yeah, it's really easy to do. It may accomplish nothing, but it's
Just peace of mind again.
It's pretty.
It's
Easy, no cost, and
high.
having it go the other way isn't fun.
No. So they do provide some water, a bottle of water every day in your hotel room, and I think they have an extra one that you can buy, but it seems to me they had a nice big one every day that just was replaced. And there's little stores right near the hotel where you can pick up things like, you can get a few bottles of water and bring them to your room, and there's, little sodas if you like, little cookies and little crackers and things like that, and we could show you where those are once we get there. But they're
About
walkable.
street food.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
delicious.
yes.
And it's okay.
Yeah, I mean.
Again, risk and reward. The reward is too good.
Yeah, definitely. Brushing the teeth, no, but street food,
Yeah.
definitely. The market, we're gonna take you to this crazy meat place in the market where, you can get all sorts of things that are really delicious,
Yeah.
And so worth it,
Did they have any sense of reducing plastic waste so you could bring your own bottle and refill it from a safe, large, water?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
It's a good question. I don't recall seeing a big one there.
You mean like buy one big bottle and
Well, I
and
think
put it in
she
a
was
small
wondering
bag?
if there's one,
Yeah.
if they have one
They
like
didn't
you'd have
have-
in an office. I didn't see
Right, right. I mean, the kitchen may well be able to,
It might.
let you have
Would it be
some water.
possible for us as a group to buy, like, you know, do they even have them?
They have
the
some pretty
stores, you
big
know,
ones
large?
like this, for sure, and you could just, you know, buy a couple and they'd last you for quite a bit of the week, I would think, so definitely, and it's walkable, it's just around the corner, very easy,
Okay.
yeah.
Would you mess around with getting some pesos before we go, or just with
So-
the ATM there?
There are ATMs all over
Everywhere,
town.
yeah.
When we leave town, so when we go to Teotihuacan and other places, there you're going to need to have cash with you. But in Oaxaca itself, there are
Lots of-
ATMs all over the
All
place.
over the place, but, you know, it certainly doesn't hurt to bring a few with you.
Well, a lot of places I've been, they accept American currency, do they down there?
Oh,
At-
I think a lot of
At
people.
the restaurants for sure, but maybe some of the street people, street vendors, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there it's going to be idiosyncratic. You know, some will and some won't.
Right.
Well, and the
And
exchange rate will be all over the
well,
place.
the
Right,
other thing
that's
is
the
that
thing.
they're going to make sure that they're not hurting themselves on the exchange
Right.
rate.
So today I checked it was 1 to 20, and so,
Oh, that's nice and even.
yeah, well, 20 and a tiny bit, but
Mhm.
I just.
Well, it's not 1 to 27.
No, yeah.
And would that be pretty much the same down there, or would it be, I was thinking the same thing, sometimes
It's gonna be
beneficial
very
get
close to
the
that.
Right.
local-
Well, if you're pulling it out of the ATM, it's gonna be just about the same.
Yeah.
Right, right. And then, yeah, usually the restaurants and things use the current,
Yeah.
yeah, exchange.
I'm sorry.
No, please.
I may have already missed this since I was late. So I see your dress code and women are fine with skirts. So
Oh,
are you
no.
No,
saying
you don't
that
have to
men
wear a
are
skirt
not-
at
I mean,
all.
we cannot wear pants?
No,
or-
no,
Oh,
no, it
no,
does say
no,
you
not-
can,
not at
you
all.
can certainly wear pants. It says women, you can wear pants. It says there certainly women can wear pants a lot of the time. Whatever you like, we're just trying to
Or
stay.
capris, or, I mean, not.
Totally,
full pants?
Capris would be just
Right.
fine.
We're just trying not to be sloppy.
Oh, okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry to ask that. I
Oh,
didn't
no.
figure
No.
it was just orange.
You most definitely can wear pants every single day if you want to, and for dinner, whatever you like. It's just whatever you're comfortable in.
Okay.
Yeah.
They
We just,
said something about shorts, or shorts
the,
okay for men.
the hot pants should stay here.
Oh, but like hiking
yeah.
shorts or
Yeah,
something?
hot
or-
pants.
Hiking
Shorts
shorts,
are fine.
yeah,
Like knee length.
Yeah.
knee length,
shorts.
exactly, right.
And
right.
this isn't dress code. It's just, you know,
A
we
respectful
have
thing.
found it's a respectful thing.
Right.
And on the other hand, people, when you respect them that way, they treat you better.
Right.
You know, it's just a nicer relationship.
Right.
No one wants to see 68-year-old legs.
Yeah, they sure don't want to see mine.
Yeah, no, wear what you're comfortable for sure, just,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely you can wear pants. I'm sorry if that didn't come across
What-
clearly.
Speaking of what you're comfortable or not,
Mhm.
is there a swimming pool or anything?
There is not.
Not,
Okay.
no, there is
I was
not.
wondering about whether to pack up swimsuits.
No, that's a good question. No,
Yeah.
there isn't. And,
And there's no need for, I don't think there's any place where you need one.
no, no. The hotel, we take up the whole hotel, just us, so that's really nice.
Oh.
And there's a lovely courtyard in the middle, and we'll show you a few pictures. So it's a really nice place to read, and every evening around 5 or so, or 5 or 6, we have Rick and I come out with some drinks of all sorts, and some cheese and crackers, and for people who
Whatever
feel
we
like
can
coming
find.
out and, pardon me?
I said, or whatever we can find.
Whatever we can find, right. And come out, you know, you can come out and join us if you'd like to, and we can either talk about the day that we've just had, or talk a little bit about the day we're about to have, and get some suggestions for dinner if we're not all eating together. And it's just a really lovely place to sit. So there's nice little benches and tables to sit at. So.
Mhm. And, yeah, we'll see you at
Okay.
breakfast.
Any other questions about packing, or money, or phones, or any concerns there? But I'm hoping that maybe some of you took down our cell number. If you'd like to text us or email, I'd be so happy to answer any questions you might have. Just feel free to do that.
So I was just gonna kind of bounce us through the week and just show you a couple pictures, but really just talk about what we're gonna do each day, just so you have a decent idea.
And then we have pictures from our last year's trip, so you can just get a feel for what things look like and see how you might feel in terms of getting around.
So that's the hotel from the outside?
In
Go
Mexico,
ahead.
sorry, I beg your pardon.
No problem, go ahead.
In Mexico and in many countries in Central America, everything, I don't want you to think like, oh, this looks so barricaded. This is how everything is. Along the street, you can't really see into anything, but when the doors open up, that's when you see the lovely courtyard and flowers, but everything, even homes are like this. So it's really lovely.
It's built for the people who live there rather than the people who are on the street.
Well, how
Right.
do you say that?
Stilu?
Oh,
Yeah, that X can be many things, but many times it's a sh, but of course not in Oaxaca, so there you go.
Right.
Yeah, and so you can see those little cobblestones there, that's where you get, if you've got your stilettos and your hot pants, it's not gonna go well for you.
So this is just the courtyard inside, just so you get an idea.
This is a little evening shot. Would you like me to do this for you?
Sure.
So you can, okay. And then here's this is what it looks like in the morning. This is our first breakfast. We eat actually, I'm so sorry, let me get out of your way. We eat actually inside, in a little inside room. It's
Most of the time.
Most of the time, very, very pretty, but you can sit out here for sure to do other things.
And there are a couple of mornings that we don't need to get started early at all, and so you can sort of relax
Yeah.
and enjoy.
And so you can see the rooms are just all around on the outside. There is an upper level with a few rooms up there as well. Everybody, of course, has their own bathroom, and everything is really lovely. And it's very clean, and they take very, very good care of the rooms. And the woman at the desk is super helpful, and then also the waiters and waitresses there are really, really lovely too.
do they speak English?
So
the front
the
desk woman,
woman,
I
yeah,
think,
she does.
a bit, yeah. But I'll come and help you at any time. I'm not 100% fluent, but I teach at West High, and about a quarter of my day is in Spanish, and I'm so happy to help you if you get stuck.
Yeah, and she's good. I mean,
The woman at the desk is
yeah,
really
Nancy,
great. Yeah.
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 So this is just this is our welcome dinner. We're going to eat in the same place we did last year. It's a place called Cathedral. It's a nice sort of very traditional kind of restaurant. They have a nice little courtyard space, and
So this is outside
yeah,
here.
yeah. So we're underneath the little colonnade, and there's a courtyard beside us.
And that what looks like tar right now is actually mole, and of course Oaxaca is famous for its mole, but it does look a bit unusual in the picture.
Not photogenic.
Exactly.
No, it's not particularly photogenic.
Okay.
That's just another picture of the
Oh, the
restaurant.
restaurant, right.
So the next day, we'll start out, we'll just sort of wander town in the morning just to help you get your bearings. And we'll have lunch in the market, so the market is entertaining.
Very.
It's a very busy place. It's an easy place to get lost a little bit. But we'll go in, and the way it'll work is we'll plant everything, so it's all people. It's not a good place for vegetarians.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge meat eater, and so, but there are other things you can have to eat. There's a lot of meat that I really don't want to have, and so you can absolutely find things. Is there anybody? Do we have any vegetarians? Not really.
There
Sort
was
of-
someone who emailed, I can't remember who
Okay.
right
Okay.
now, that they're not vegetarian, but they don't eat meat, they just eat chicken and
Perfect.
fish.
Yeah.
That's easy. They have chicken. They
We
have.
can make
Yeah,
that work,
we can
yeah.
absolutely make that work. Yeah.
So anyway, the way it works is you've got a whole slew of people with little stands where they've got thin sliced meats and chicken and sausages and all sorts of things. And you order from them, and someone else will cook it for you. And what we'll probably do is just get ourselves a couple of tables, and we'll release people out into the space, and they'll bring us back piles of food. And
It's pretty magical how they remember. I mean, you point to a few things and how they remember who we are, but they get it cooked and then they bring it to you. And
we show up.
Pardon me?
We show up.
It's pretty amazing, right? Yeah, we do show up, that's for sure. Yeah, the gringos are here. And so this is a chance where you can all eat a little.
Oh yeah, the market's a good place for a little grasshopper or something
So
like
you
that.
can try the grasshoppers. There are small ones and big ones. It's good. It's
A
good.
variety of spices and flavorings. I mean, they're
Right.
they're protein rich chips.
It's the food of the future, as we've heard. They are crispy, and they're very tasty, except it's just when I sense the legs, that's what I don't love, yeah. So,
That's
but-
exactly what I was
Yeah.
Take the legs off.
Yeah, but it's for sure, if you're brave and you feel like trying it, it's absolutely safe, and it's all spicy and yummy and limey and good, yeah. So, okay, this is what the market looks like. Go ahead, Ricky.
So you can see all the stands running along the sides.
And the smoke billowing up from all of the cooking, and it's a,
It'll remind you that it's inverted here while we're down there.
right. It's a very fun and lively scene. It smells great too.
So you've actually seen this before, but the second day we'll go out to Montalban. This is a day where I'd actually love to know just how early you're willing to get up, because it's better. So if we can get an early start, two things happen. One, of course, is that it gets a little warm up there hiking around. It's a very open, sunny spot, and so it's nice to get out before the main heat of the day. But the other thing is that if you go late, it gets crowded. But if you go early, there's nobody there.
So the hotel generally serves us breakfast at 7:30 in the morning. We ask them to put out coffee and tea at 7, so you can go in for some early risers. If you like to have a little coffee or tea and just sit quietly, you can most definitely do that. But usually they serve us at 7:30, and it's a combination of, it's a little buffet, and they have some, I know I'm just jumping in right here, Ricky, but I thought you might like to know, excuse me. So they have the standard things. They have some yogurt and some bread, and a little bit different, sort of super crispy bread, with some really lovely spreads that they have.
Yes, they do a whole series of really delicious little spreads and jams.
Really, really nice. Lots of different juices. And then they have a little bit of American food, so they'll have some eggs, and they really, really want to serve us bacon, and they couldn't be talked out of it. So they like to do that. But then they also have some traditional, which are, some nice sauces with some eggs and potatoes and vegetables. So it feels like kind of a lunch, but it really gets you going off really nicely. And they're delicious, really delicious. But you will have the choice for sure. If you want to do something a little simpler, I think they might have cereal as well.
Yeah, they did have cereal.
They did, so they have cold, hot, American, and traditional. So you can feel comfortable that way.
So that's just more, like I said, you've all seen it at this point, but we'll go out. We'll probably spend something on the order of 3 hours at the site, would be my guess.
I always have snacks, so don't panic.
Yeah, so we'll probably spend around 3 hours at the site. We'll poke our heads into the little museum if we feel like it, and I'll just see how you all feel. But it's not a ton of walking, but it's
And it's not hot like 105 in Utah. It's
Oh, no.
I think the earliness is really nice for how quiet it is.
Mhm.
I think you're
Yeah,
right
that's
that
the
way.
big reason to
Yeah,
do it.
I agree.
And if people are willing, we might try to pitch the hotel about giving us breakfast just slightly early.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are you thinking?
Oh, I was thinking trying to leave the hotel shortly after 7.
See how it
So
feels.
breakfast like 6:30.
Yeah, something like that. So, and again, we'll have to,
Ask them.
yeah, we'll have to ask them. It could just be that we'll say, please try to come down right away, kind of thing.
So do we travel on a bus to the various
Yeah, we travel
locations?
in a little bus.
With our, just with our own driver, and brings us around, yeah.
Yeah. Just more Montalban. We eat.
We had lunch here.
Yeah, it's all right.
Go ahead.
We just eat and explain. There's a lot of local color and a lot of fun in the places that we'll find for lunch. This is just a lunch. Inversion or sickness?
I had pneumonia,
Oh.
but it's 4 weeks ago. This air is absolutely
Oh,
killing
it's
me.
got to be horrible right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, you've got something.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
They have
that's
hot
brutal.
water and tea. Do you think that might be nice?
He just got me a drink.
Okay. Oh,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay.
So the next day, we'll travel around and learn about mezcal. Alvin, sorry, here. So.
No, she was just, Dawn was looking excited about
Showing
that.
excitement.
Okay. Alvin, the man who will take us around, he's a Canadian expat, but he has just decided that he wants to be the mezcal ambassador for the world. And he's incredibly knowledgeable, not only about the processes, but he knows all of the local makers, all of the local palenqueros. And so he gets us into these little tiny spots to see people making it at various stages. Everyone will be a little bit tipsy by lunch. Some people might be a lot tipsy by lunch. But really, just very traditional. So this particular spot, we're looking at a guy. He's actually got, I can't remember, 6 stills or something. But I mean, this guy produces 20 liters a day or something. I mean, it's just really tiny. And he'll take us to people who use different techniques. So this one uses clay pots, and another one uses copper, and they're and it's really pretty. It's a pretty interesting day. Even if you're not into the mezcal, it's a pretty darn interesting day. And if you are, then it's
Even more
kind of
interesting.
fun.
Yeah. And they give us lunch on this trip, don't they?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
We may have talked him out of it. So this is just sort of some of the process, and so they bury it in the ground and with a fire, and they smoke the maguey, and you could shoot another flat.
Okay.
And they grind it up with a stone pulled by a horse.
Wow.
And I think there's one more.
Okay.
And you can just see that just the whole process is there. It's really, for people, like I said, it's not even the specifics of the product, but just watching a traditional product go through all the steps is just really kind of fun.
And really fun to bring some home for friends.
Yeah.
I give you a little
Because
nice-
you'll-
Friends?
Yeah.
Or yourself.
Yourself. Right. What was I thinking? Right.
And you'll be able to bring home mezcal that you won't be able to get anywhere else.
Yeah.
No one will have the mezcal that you.
Is there any kind of rule about how many bottles?
Yeah, there are. I think that you're allowed duty free without paying a duty. I think you're allowed either 2 or 4 liters a person.
Oh.
And is that?
Oh.
There's a margin for error there.
Yeah, and I don't think that the Alvin knows all of this stuff.
Right.
But so what'll happen? I didn't put the pictures in here, but when you buy it, what will happen is Alvin will bottle it for you. So you'll go to your individual palenquero and you'll say, and you'll have tried 5 of them at that point, and the one you like best, he'll haul out a big plastic jerry jug, and he'll dump it into some little bottles for you, and Alvin will seal the bottles and label them so they're legal so that you can bring them home.
And they're really pretty to bring home. Those bottles are really pretty. I thought.
Yeah, they look a little bit like lab bottles. But
Yeah, I just think they look really cool. Yeah. Has anybody tried mezcal here?
Right.
Do you like it? You seem very keen, so yeah, I guess you do like it. Right?
I've been practicing for the trip, but I just found 2 places that served it in a cocktail, and it was
Fun.
delicious.
Oh, that's so
Very
cool.
smoky. Yeah.
Yeah, and they do all sorts of wild things. So we brought one home this last year. It's called a pechuga, and what they do is in the steam of the still they put they put a piece of meat, usually a turkey breast, in it, and it flavors it. So it doesn't taste like turkey. It just sort of makes it taste a little earthier, I guess. But it's just really interesting. This is just in Teotitlan del Valle, which is a village that we will spend a fair bit of time in. So half of us will go to a cooking class there. We split. The cooking classes will only take 9 or 10 people, and so we're split into 2. One of them is in Teotitlan, the other is in town. We will also we'll spend New Year's evening in Teotitlan, and so this is just a town that will have a lot to do with it. The church was begun in the 16th century, and it has, and like many of these, it was built out of, they tore down an indigenous temple, a Zapotec temple, and if you look around carefully, I didn't include any pictures today, but actually you can see it in here. The pieces where they've removed the whitewash, They're all pieces that have hieroglyphs and carving on them from the previous construction. It's kind of fun to walk around and look at that. So one thing we'll do in Teotitlán is we'll visit, so this is New Year's Day, by the way. So we'll visit a family that Alvin actually introduced us to before, who on the one hand, they have a weaving shop of their own, a family shop, and they'll show us the process. So they'll show us the carding and the spinning and the dyeing and all of the steps and how they get the dyes, and it's again the process is really interesting to see. People will, if past experience suggests it, people will leave here with lighter wallets than they arrived.
They're pretty reasonable, though.
The prices are
They're
very reasonable.
really
The
incredible.
pieces are beautiful. The people are nice, and it's
The
just
colors are so incredibly rich and beautiful. Like this is just where they're showing the bags, but oh gosh, and there's this. So this is we have the grandmother here and the daughter and the grandfather here. And
yes. And if you saw the woman here will also will be our kind of guide to the night of New Year's. So she'll help take us out to the caves. There aren't really caves.
No.
It's really a hillside.
Right.
But they call it the little caves. And we'll spend an evening. We'll sit around the fire for a little while. We'll watch the sunset. We'll watch crazy young people throw logs at each other, full of kerosene and flames.
They have a cool little tradition where you take the rocks and you make a wee little house for yourself just out of rocks, and then you take a small piece of paper and you write a little wish or a little thought, and then you put it inside the house, and there's your sort of New Year's Eve little wish, and then it just stays there.
Yes.
It just stays there for the year.
Yeah, and for the locals, there are vendors wandering around who will sell you little plastic animals and things like that you can populate, because your house is a wish, and so you populate it with an extra couple of pigs or an extra couple of cows or turkeys, and it's sort of expressing that wish for the year.
And then we leave just sort of as they're firing, burning logs back and forth to each other. It's
Well,
kind
we'll
of,
stay long enough
We'll
to
stay enough
see
to
it.
see it, but and then we sort of leave because for Utahns, we just freak out because it's like you just know they're going to set something on fire, but nothing
Like
can
each other.
catch like each other. But it's all the families do it, and the children, and they're literally throwing little burning logs at each other, and it's.
But it's really interesting to watch because it's mostly teenage boys doing it, and they themselves are clear. They're trying to show off to each other, but they're clearly terrified. And so,
Right.
they'll come in and they'll get up close to it and they'll try to figure out, and then it's really kind of.
It is an odd activity, but.
And there are people wandering around selling them the logs. So they're just little logs that have been soaked in kerosene, and so they keep a nice even flame.
Right.
And some people, you see them off in the distance, who throw them really well. So they get them way up in the air and they're scattering around. So this is just back in their house again.
And then
shop
here,
again.
you can see all the rugs, and they've just got a million different sizes and colors, and this
Yeah.
is the burning log activity.
Yeah, so this is the evening up on the
Right.
hill and the moon rising.
Yeah.
And there are just hundreds of families across here that are just sitting around their fires and enjoying the evening.
It's really nice.
So the next day, like I said, we'll split up half and half to two cooking classes. They're different from each other. So one of them is done by this woman in the center, Reina, and her cook. It's very, very traditional, and so you cook over a comal that's over an open fire. You grind things on a metate, and it's a really interesting cultural experience. The cooking lesson, not entirely practical for bringing home.
But first, for both of the cooking lessons, they first take you, you decide what you're going to cook, and make the decisions as a group, and then they take you out to the market and show you how they buy all of the supplies, which is really lovely to see in the daytime as well.
With this group, Reina decides.
Okay. Then you can talk about this group.
Yeah,
You can talk-
actually, why don't we do that?
That's a good plan. Yeah.
So you go to with the one group, with Reina's group, you go to the market in Teotitlán, and you do the shopping, and mostly she points at things and has you carry them around in your baskets. She's very, very nice, but she's a little bit of a tyrant.
This woman's a tyrant?
A little bit,
Oh,
in a nice way.
yeah, she's got a beautiful kitchen.
Yeah, and so you get back from the market, she makes you some nice hot chocolate, which is wonderful. And then you start to cook. And you spend several hours. Like I said, really traditional, so you're toasting all of the agreements. There's an open fire inside, underneath that comal. You're using, really implements that you don't have in your kitchen, probably. And you're grinding on a stone. Most of us will last about 5 minutes doing
Right.
that, but you need to realize that in not very long ago, Zapotec women spent 6 or 8 hours a day doing that, and we don't have to.
Okay.
And this is just lunch.
What you've made, right? You
Well, yeah,
made-
we eat what we've made, and it's fabulous. And one of the things that was kind of amusing and good so our two groups last year, they didn't know anything about each other. So you guys will know a little bit about each other's cooking classes, but no one knew what the others were doing, and both groups came home going, "Oh, I feel so guilty. I hope the other group had a good time."
Yeah,
Because
because they
everyone
were
had such a
very
good time.
different, and we just divided the group randomly last year, and like as Rick said, everybody came home feeling like they had had the most spectacular experience, and oh, poor other group. So this was Rick's group, and my group is right in town. He starts you off with a lovely, we sit outside in his courtyard, and he starts you off with some lovely hot chocolate or coffee, whichever, just so yummy. That
And he
picture
runs
just
a
makes
very
me
fine
crazy.
restaurant.
He runs a very, very nice restaurant as well. So this one, we do, this is, I think his name was Oscar. I can't quite remember. I'm so sorry. It's just gone out of my head. This is us in the market, but before we go, he has us all sit down and he tells us all the things that we can cook, and we decide what we'd like. And I'm not sure if I want to say foolishly. Wait, where is it? Did you forget to put it in, Ricky?
No. Oh, maybe it didn't come through.
You scallywag. One of the pictures, what we did, he said, how about some flying ants in our food? And of course, many of the people in the group said, great. And so, sure enough, there was a big bowl of dead flying ants that
De-winged, right?
de-winged, and then you grind them up and you eat them. So anyway, and you can actually taste, it can sort of taste like, oh, there's insects in this, but we don't have to do that. Maybe we'll be a smarter group. So again, he takes us through, we all decide, he writes the list, and we go into the market, and he teaches us as we're buying things in here. And this is us cooking. So we cook very traditional food, but instead we have a modern kitchen. So, and I guess what we'll do is we'll let you decide what you'd like to do. So you will,
Unless you all decide for one, and then
we're going to have to just draw straws, right? That's it. We're taking over. So, like I said, the food that you cook will be the same food that the other group cooked. Different,
Yeah.
but traditional, very traditional food. But like I said, made with Cuisinarts and all sorts of things instead. So
Yeah.
this cooking class you can bring home and make in your own kitchen.
the other one, not so
Yeah, no.
much.
So this group ended up sharing recipes with the other group that didn't get to do this. So here you can see we're making tortillas here. So here we did them in the press, as you can see, and and he explains everything very clearly as we go through what everything is for. You get to taste everything as you make it. Everybody's busy. And then we ate, and they set up a nice table, and then that's what we were eating. Many different courses. Okay.
The next day, we'll go out and we'll go to Mitla, which is another archaeological site. I showed you a couple pictures the other day, and we'll do we'll visit a couple of craft villages. On the way, we'll see this guy. This is the Tule tree. The Tule tree, they estimate, is somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 years old. And it's sort of a cheat. So they say it is the biggest in trunk circumference tree in the world. But really it's a whole bunch of trees that have grown together over the years. But the interesting thing about it is this tree was there when Monte Alban was there. This tree was there when Mitla was a going concern. When the conquistadores came through, this tree was there. And by the time they came through, it was not only there, it was, and so it was, it was already a landmark 500 years ago. And so
Really
it's
cool.
you only stop there for a few minutes, but it's an amazing thing.
There's little, people have found little animals or faces that they can see in them, and so you can go around and try and find them.
Yeah, it's kind of like getting a cavern tour in
Right.
other places.
Yeah. So there are some young little boys who will, for a few peso or two, will take you around and show you all. Here's the elephant. Here's that. Right? So if you want to do that, you can.
And then we'll go on to Mitla. And there's only one picture in here because I showed you pictures before.
Okay.
And then we'll visit a workshop where they make these wooden creatures. It's interesting. This is.
So this
I
is
don't have a picture of a finished one.
Okay.
This is a kind of reimagining of a tradition. So in the 1950s, I think, you had people, a handful of people in this town who carved things for sale, but Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera came through town, and they loved this stuff. And they brought it back to Mexico City, and they brought some of it, they showed it to friends in the States and other places. And this tradition, this whole craft just grew out of this interest. And now the creatures that they make are amazing to look at. They use the basis of the wood to figure out the movements and things, and they're incredibly intricately painted, again with all natural dyes and things, and it's just again another really interesting thing to watch.
And it's like sort of a school or like an interning place where children go, they go to school, of course, but then parents will pay to have them come and learn the craft. And so we have the little ones, maybe sort of elementary school age. They're working on the sanding. They start off sort of having them sanding, and
it's not evil child labor.
It's not child labor. This is they're here to learn this craft, and then as they get older, they do more and more intricate work. And I mean, it's just phenomenal what you will see there. This is if you've seen the movie Coco, this workshop is the one that it is based off of. This actual workshop. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we didn't know that till after
we didn't know. No, we didn't know. But now that you do, it's like, oh, that's so cool. So it just.
This is just a picture.
It's just right outside. It's so pretty. Yeah.
And our last night so the last day is mostly open, and the last night we will have an amazing meal. We'll go to a restaurant called the Casa Oaxaca, which is one of the best restaurants in Mexico. It's just amazing. They have a beautiful rooftop where we'll eat right beside the cathedral, and it's just a nice way to close things up.
And so the nights that we don't have dinner together, we can certainly recommend restaurants for you, or you can do your own. And if anybody just feels like they'd rather not go off on their own and they'd like to maybe eat in a group, we'd be more than happy to see if we can get that set up. So it's just some people really like to take some time and be on their own, and we'd be very happy to recommend some places for you. Or go out with you if you like. There's great places to eat out. It's a very, very, very festive sort of central square. Because of the time of year that we're going, there are just people selling things like to beat the band. You will, they're just going to be after us all the time, but you just proceed. You could just say no and just proceed, or you can say yes. We had one woman who decided she wanted to support the local population there, and so she literally bought something from every single vendor.
Yeah, she was just like the Pied Piper.
She was so festive, but it was just her goal. It's just, she was going to hit every single one and brought a little trinket from every single person. But you can go and sit outside, right all the way around the square. There's little restaurants, and you can sit right outside and just sit there and have a drink, have a beer or hot chocolate, and just watch it all go by, which is really, really pleasant.
And there will be entertainments in the Zocalo every single
Every
single
single
night while
night.
we're there. There will be a band or something every
Right.
single night.
So you can do that, or you can go to bed early and be ready, whatever you like to do. So are
We
there
can
any?
sleep when we get home.
Oh, yeah, right, you can sleep when you get home. Are there any questions you might, are you wondering about, or? Okay, all right. Well, if you think of anything as you go through the itinerary at home, please feel free to send us a text or an email, and we'd be so happy to help